When I walked into the kitchen that morning, I found my son, Nathan, sitting silently at the table, poking his cereal with his spoon. The usual brightness in his eyes was missing, and the half-hearted way he greeted me made it clear something was off. I poured myself some coffee and sat across from him, quietly observing before asking, "You okay, buddy?" He shrugged, avoiding eye contact. "Just tired." I raised an eyebrow. "You sure that's all?" He sighed, finally looking up. "Mom, can I ask you something? But promise you won't laugh." My heart tightened a little. "Of course. You can talk to me about anything, Nathan." He leaned forward, lowering his voice as if the walls had ears. "Do you think I'm small?" I blinked, confused at first. "Small in what way? You mean short?" "No, I mean small. Like my size. You know." His cheeks flushed bright red. "Down there." Suddenly, I understood. My initial reaction was to protect him from embarrassment, but I reminded myself that this was a big deal to him. He was 16, and like most teenagers, self-conscious about his body. I reached out and gently touched his hand. "Nathan, first of all, I'm really proud of you for being brave enough to ask me that. It takes guts." He looked at me, a bit surprised. "I know it's awkward," I continued, "but you're growing and changing. Everybody does at their own pace. What makes you feel like something's wrong?" He looked down at his bowl again. "Some guys in gym class were talking, bragging. They joked about some of us being small. I wasn't even part of the conversation, but I overheard them mention me. And it just stuck." I took a deep breath. Teenagers can be cruel. But you need to understand something, Nathan. The world tries to make young men feel like they have to be a certain way to be valued. It's a lie. You are not defined by any one part of you. He stayed quiet, processing. "Do you remember when you used to compare your drawings to other kids and feel bad?" "Yeah. And then one day, your art teacher told you that everyone has their own style and that your progress matters more than comparison?" He nodded slowly. "It's kind of like that," I said. "We all develop at different rates. And what really matters is how you feel about yourself, not what some immature classmates say." He managed a weak smile, but I knew this needed more than just a pep talk. So that afternoon, I did something a little unusual. I reached out to Dr. Moore, a family physician we trusted, and scheduled a quiet consult. Not because anything was medically wrong, but because I knew Nathan would benefit from hearing the truth from someone with authority. At the clinic, Dr. Moore welcomed us with warmth and respect. He spoke to Nathan with gentleness, making sure to validate his concerns without making him feel silly. "Most teenage boys worry about this at some point," he explained. "There's no perfect size or shape. And nothing about what you're describing is abnormal." The relief on Nathan's face was visible. It wasn't just his mother saying it now, it was a doctor. Later that evening, we went for a walk by the lake, just the two of us. The air was cool and peaceful, and I could tell Nathan had more to get off his chest. "Mom," he said softly, "do you think I'll ever feel confident about myself?" I stopped and looked at him with all the love in the world. "I think confidence isn't something that just shows up. It's something you build. Every time you stand up for yourself, every time you're kind, every time you try even when it's hard, that's confidence. And Nathan, I see those things in you every day." He looked away, trying to hide the tears forming in his eyes. "Thanks, Mom. I needed to hear that." In the weeks that followed, I saw real changes. Nathan started exercising not because he wanted to impress anyone, but because it made him feel stronger. He took up journaling, something his school counselor suggested. He started focusing more on what made him unique, his humor, his creativity, his curiosity. One afternoon, I caught him helping his younger cousin feel better after a rough day at school. The way he listened with patience and offered encouragement made me emotional. He was becoming the kind of person who not only healed himself but also helped others heal. Months later, during a family gathering, Nathan sat beside me with a quiet confidence I hadn't seen before. His uncle had made a joke, good-natured but sharp, about teenagers and hormones. Nathan simply laughed it off and shifted the conversation toward something more meaningful. I squeezed his hand under the table. "You handled that like a champ," I whispered. He grinned. Thanks. I've learned a thing or two. I knew what he meant. He had learned that his worth wasn't in his body or his size or anyone's opinion. It was in how he treated himself and others. And as a mom, I couldn't be prouder. The truth is, we live in a world obsessed with image and measurement. But real growth, the kind that matters, happens quietly, inside. It happens when a young man dares to be vulnerable, when a mother chooses to listen instead of judge, when a family doctor takes the time to explain with compassion, and when healing becomes a shared journey rather than a lonely one. Helping Nathan wasn't just about one conversation. It was about showing up again and again with love, patience, and truth. And through that, my son didn't just feel okay about himself, he began to thrive. By the end of the school year, he had made new friends, joined the photography club, and even stood up for another student being picked on. His voice had a steadiness that came not from pretending to be someone he wasn't, but from finally understanding who he was. That's what I helped him find. And in doing so, I found something too, the quiet, beautiful power of being a safe place for someone you love.